and welcome to the TV show where we are covering the Game of Thrones finale. That's right, season 5 is absolutely done. We saw the last episode that aired last night, and we are going to break it down scene by scene. What up? My name is Maud Garrett. I'm filling in for Matt, who is on holidays, aka vacation, at the moment, because I'm in America now and I need to learn how to say the right words. So I'm going to fill in the chair, and I've got the tweets ready to go. If you do want to join in at any stage and continue the conversation, just use that hashtag TV show. Joining me on the panel, welcoming back, lovely Starlene Hodge. I've never said your last name out loud.
Hodge?
Yeah.
Maud?
Yeah, there we go. This is the thing that's going to be a long battle of how to say the name properly. And returning as always, DJ Wooldridge. Again, that's a hard one to say
I know,
out
I'm
loud.
sorry. I didn't pick it.
Deej and Star joining Maud here on the couch. So let's get stuck straight into it. Guys, what did we rate this episode?
Out of what it was a rating system.
What is the...
Let's call them 10 White Walkers.
Ah.
I'm at a 9.5 White Walkers. It's a pretty great episode for me.
Wowee.
Yeah.
I think I'd give it probably a 7 White Walkers.
Okay.
But I'd give the season maybe an 8 or 9.
Okay.
All right, that's fair.
I still think that season 4 was the best season out there.
Oh, you and I disagree a lot on that.
More.
Yeah. I didn't like the 4th season much.
Was 4th season Red Wedding, or that was that 3rd?
That was the end of the 3rd, which I
Third
think is one of
season's
the best second last episodes, which is what they'll usually do. But in this particular instance, they had the purple wedding pretty much straight off the bat, and then they ended with the Mountain versus Oberyn showdown, which I thought was incredible as well.
Yeah. I think for me, if I'm being honest, I actually think my favorite season is still the 1st season.
That's a great season.
Well, yeah.
And I think the
With the Benetting, hashtag Benetting.
Yeah. And I think ever since when the show kind of lost its center, which was by the nature of the books, and what made it compelling and interesting, but also made it more unwieldy as a TV show. And it's never quite found that same groove again, I don't think.
Season 1 and book 1 are the closest
Page for page, pretty much.
in story. But you have to change things because there's no way.
Yeah.
Star is our
include
resident book
everything.
reader as well.
Yeah. But we're caught up. We're caught up, so everyone could speculate, and it's gonna be fun. Minus a couple things here and there, but overall, like the main things, we could actually go like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be this or maybe this, and it's gonna be so good.
It is. Season 6, that's then. Let's talk about the finale, though, because I noticed that these episodes will usually start off in the north because it's very cold, there's a lot of snow, and we kind of get that there's a battle happening at the Wall with Stannis and at Winterfell. So it'll cut and change between those three before you go off to Sunny Dawn or Marine. This sucks. Stannis, poor thing. And I cannot believe, and this happens twice in this episode, which makes me feel weird. I start feeling sorry for a character I spent a long time hating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Stannis was one for me.
No.
I wasn't, as soon as they were like, hey, your dudes are gone, I was like, well, that's what happens.
Why didn't they publicly sacrifice Shireen? That should have been like a little,
I'm sorry.
Oh, so I was
You guys
trying
are so
to figure
polite.
out if, because with Shireen and the whole thing, like his followers were supposed to be like heavy Lord of the Light, like people, like they were
Half them are
supposed to be,
sellswords.
Yeah.
And I forgot that, and those are the ones who left.
Yeah.
They were like, nah, I'm out. You killed a kid. I'm gone.
Duh. Like,
Fair enough.
Maybe the guys we're following is kind of crazy. Let's bail. I was actually more surprised that the red lady.
Melisandre,
Thank
who
you.
said, I saw Bolton burn. We're fine.
And bailed out.
Yeah.
Bailed out when everybody else bailed
Bitch,
out. I was like,
please.
maybe. And I thought she was she seemed pretty convicted on the whole jam.
She has been by Stannis' side from the start. She's convinced that Stannis is the one that, when the biggest battle between the White Walkers actually occurs, Stannis will be the one to see victory. And that's why she put all of her eggs in Stannis' basket. And she's like, you know what, this is what you need to do. I need blood from, I need King's blood. I need you.
Oops.
You're the one who's going to get this happening. I need to kill your daughter. Trust me. You know what? I'm going to go.
Be like, ooh, maybe I picked the wrong person. Because her whole visions and stuff, it was supposed to be like, I saw someone born of Dragonstone and all this stuff, and it's like, if you look back, it really should be Dany that she should be seeking out. But maybe like there could be like she sees so many things that could reference so many different characters in the fire that you're like, who are you following the right person?
She
Clearly
got it
not
wrong.
Yeah,
Stannis.
but even no matter who she goes with, I don't know anybody that would be down with the child sacrificing part of whatever she's seeing.
Melisandre was like front and center during that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
she was all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was into it.
But it's funny that is it Celine or
Selyse.
Selyse? When Selyse, Stannis' wife, she sadly hung herself, and that's I think I don't know when Melisandre figured that out, but it was almost like that was the catalyst for her to be like,
I think when the other dude showed up and was just like, "Hey, we have some more bad news," and that was like I'm out.
well,
There's
here's
nothing.
a man who's given everything: his wife, now his daughter, his men.
Yeah.
You know, like he's given absolutely everything, and this is a man that had so much confidence because it was his right.
Yeah.
He was the airful, you know, what is it? The rightful heir to the throne, the airful right to the throne. Listen to me, is that dyslexia? That's impressive. And then, you know, he was so kind of confident and cocksure through the whole thing. Pretty sure that's a word too. That by the time he kind of looked around and realized he had nothing left, he was just like,
I like that he still gave it a shot. There's
yeah, I
a part
mean,
of
what
me
else
that
are you gonna
respects
do?
that,
Like
you
literally,
know?
there's no other options at that point. Like you don't go back. Like you don't go back to Casablanca. Listen, guys, I'm sorry, I sacrificed my daughter. Who knew? Who knew it wasn't gonna work out? Who
My
could have guessed?
bad.
Who could have guessed? It's like all you can do is hunker down and do your best and hope for the best. That's it.
Do you guys think that Davos still owes the Iron Bank the money?
oh, I didn't even think about that.
I mean,
Listen,
the Sellswords left. That's the thing. They didn't stay. They left on their part of the contract. So are they still owed?
The White Walkers are gonna come and fuck shit up by the time winter's done. Nobody's gonna be caring about who owed what debt to whom.
Yeah.
But it was kind of heartbreaking to see Stannis because he had given, even though he did it, he sacrificed his daughter. It was heartbreaking for him. He thought he was doing it for what in his mind was a greater good. And it was for nothing. To have given all that, to have it amount to nothing. And in the end, he didn't. I think that kind of messed with Bran a little bit because Bran's been viewing him as this villain this whole time.
Yeah.
And goes to kill him. And when he's like, I mean, I get it.
your
Do your duty.
What is the most perfect thing that Stannis can say to Brienne?
No.
Address the duty, because that is all Brienne knows. She talks in loyalty and oaths and duty.
Yeah.
But they also didn't show him dying, which to me, I'm like, he's dead. It's fine. But that's the show usually doesn't.
Yeah, it isn't too vague about its deaths. It actually really bothered me this episode, the caginess with death and stuff. And it didn't. The show's pretty good about. Usually the big deaths happen on the 9th episode, so you have a whole nother episode saying, "Oh, they're dead."
Yeah.
And this one felt very, and it felt weaker because of that.
I love it being ambiguous because then you could speculate for a year. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
This is where we've come to as Game of Thrones fans. That it's like, I need to see the body, I need to see the head removed from the neck, and I need to see it burnt before I'll believe it.
Yeah.
Because frankly, you know, death has been manipulated so much. So Baron Doran Dodudo.
Yep, I know who you're talking about.
Dondarrion, I think.
Baron Dondarrion. Yep. He got resurrected by the priest of light as well 6 times.
Was
So
it 6 or 7?
that could have been the 7th time.
I don't
Where
know.
did he go, by the way? Is he still in that little cave?
He's still around resurrecting
Yeah, they've
people.
never addressed the Brotherhood going around because they're supposed to be going around like helping the common man. Like that's their whole deal was just like, you know what, all the
Robin
kings
Hood
and all like the fancy people are fighting each other. What about the regular folk who are just caught in the middle of it? And they were supposed to be that group defending those people.
They're hanging out with the Hound and Gendry. Just
Yeah.
somewhere being like, oh, we're
And
forgotten
Rickon.
characters. Cool.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that death isn't a sure thing now, and things don't really happen by accident. We saw Sansa grab that corkscrew, and it focused on that motion, and it's like that wasn't an accident. And so the fact that they cut away from Brienne when she was killing Stannis, I think to
leaves
question
it open
it.
to interpretation. Also, since the show's not really usually afraid of violence.
Yeah.
It's obviously not. It's not like we're on network TV where it's like, of course you're not going to show us head. Like, no, I mean, usually the head would shoot off and blood would be spraying everywhere. It'd be like a Mortal Kombat fatality. And so the fact that they cut away,
Fatality.
But, yeah,
Maybe the thing is, I don't know why Brienne wouldn't kill him.
Well, we've got Jacob Newton here who has tweeted in. His Twitter handle, if you want to continue the discussion with him, is Jacob Newtons. He has said, could Stannis be alive? He said, do your duty. to Brienne. And Brienne's duty is to protect Sansa. We never saw death. And every time we've seen Brienne in the last few episodes, she has been glued to that tower, waiting for the flame.
Yep.
And I'm kind of sick of this whole near miss with Sansa and Brienne.
Yeah.
Do you remember when she was with Podrick and then this carriage was driving past? She's looking for Sansa and it's like, well, just turn her, forget about it. And now Sansa lights the candle.
Yeah, the next episode we got them interacting, but then Sansa was like, "No, I don't."
Yeah, like I don't trust you, which at the time was fair.
Yeah,
it's like be with the devil, you know.
No.
And now she's lighting this candle, and Bran's like, "Whew, Stannis, you say?"
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll still end up again together with the whole Theon.
Ramsay won.
Yeah.
Ramsay won and went back into Winterfell, where Sansa is,
Yeah.
and she's killed Miranda. His crazy bitch lover.
Well, with their
right?
escape, with Theon and Sansa's escape, maybe Brienne will still come into play, and that's who they'll interact with.
So that's another little thing that I'm like, So the killing or sacrificing of Shireen apparently dropped all the snow. Remember how they were kind of like...
It kept it from coming down more, but there was still plenty of snow built up.
No.
But because the snow did kind of... This is the catch-22 with Stannis. He's like, all right, I sacrificed my daughter. The snow's gone down so we can all ride to the battle, and my horses are burnt, and my sellswords are gone, and I said I'd do it, and I've sent off my best friend and my red mistress slash priestess. She's gone too.
Red mistress worked. Yeah, that worked.
I have to just ride anyway. And that was... I feel that it was a little anticlimactic, that battle, because we've seen what an epic kind of two
that was
forces
just
coming together.
Down. You're just like, okay, all right.
I actually really like the pacing of that, where he's talking to his men, and it's like, we build the trenches, we're gonna have a siege, and his men's like, the siege isn't gonna happen. And you know that moment. I think that's probably one of those moments where it really sells. You start feeling bad for Stannis because that look on his face, like.
Yeah.
This is not how I planned it. But
he still took down like 2 more people. Like before, he was just like, I'm injured. But
that's what I was a little bit upset about. You see the armies marching towards each other, and you see how many there's cavalry versus footmen, and then it's like they had a formation, and these guys were kind of like getting surrounded. It reminded me of Alexander the Great. If anyone read those 3 books, it was quite a fantastic way to battle. But and then you kind of like, boom, a lot of dead bodies, and then Stannis still survived. How was he still alive?
They
he's a
have
badass.
the budget to like show the other fight.
Because he's a badass. Also, interesting bit of cutting though, with intercutting Brienne killing Stannis with Ramsay killing a guy in cold blood, somebody that's already wounded, and in that situation was surrendering.
Yeah.
I don't know. The show does an interesting job of. There's very few purely good characters, just like in life. Everybody's got their little compromises.
All the purely good characters don't tend to make it.
Because Brienne had an opportunity to save Sansa, but because of her...
she's lawful neutral.
Yeah, her revenge quest on Stannis missed it.
Yeah.
No.
I still think I would have loved a little bit more of a battle there, because Stannis is not mortally wounded, but then he gets kind of cut in the back of the leg, and he's kind of down. And you just see the sort of like absolute defeat take him over.
Yeah.
And that's when I felt sorry for him.
No.
I didn't want to. This is a guy that, by all means of the word, it was like, oh, he's dead to me after what he did to his daughter.
I don't think I felt sorry. I just felt like, this is your appropriate, like what you've done and where you are now feel correct.
I was so angry at Melisandre. So angry.
She's a bitch. She needs to die.
She
needs to die. She needs to die.
Unless
She's
she can
awful.
do something, then I might forgive her.
She can do a lot of things, but then she needs to die. I mean, he burned his whole family for her. I don't know what. I'd be interested to see the dynamics of the Lord of Light, because you've got Baron what's his face resurrecting. They seemed chill. The Robin Hood and Men in Tight over there and Baron seemed chill and on point.
You don't have to be creepy and evil and horrible. You could just do your thing and have it work.
And also, they mentioned, Brienne mentioned blood magic, and I'm wondering if we don't know a lot of the rules of magic in this universe. So is it possible that Melisandre is espousing the Lord of Light, but doing her own side witchcraft thing to get the results that she wants?
I don't think so. I think it's whatever she's doing is what she feels her religion is.
I don't know.
That doesn't mean it is, though.
If her bigger picture is to actually get rid of Stannis altogether, she did a very good job of single-handedly doing that.
That could be true. I understand. From my understanding,
There'd be so much easier ways to do it, though. That's so complicated. Like,
Stannis has nothing.
like literally,
Yeah.
like at this point, and
Nothing.
almost are we? Other than we're not left with any real Baratheons at this point, right?
Gendry
But I mean, is he a real he's a bastard?
His
technically.
arms must be so big. I want to see him next. It's just like,
Well, there wasn't really any outside of the 3 brothers anyway, because all his kids were
Yeah.
not his kids, you know? So, yeah, Gendry's, I think, the only male bastard Baratheon still around.
So I have stopped avoiding book spoilers at this point because we've kind of caught up. So I've just stopped bothering avoiding them. Apparently, in the books, it's more specific that Melisandre's believed that Stannis was the second coming of some great badass back in the day,
Azor Ahai.
and now she's probably thinking that Jon is a better horse
that's
to
the
hitch
thing.
her wagon to.
when she fled, the first place she went was Winterfell, which
Yeah.
is where Davos is. Is it a coincidence that Davos, who I swear to God is like just the second Ned,
Yeah.
you know, the good heart and
Yeah.
the
Onion
loyal
Knight.
factor. Yeah.
But the good news with Davos is he's pragmatic enough
He's practical.
to stay out of harm's way.
Yeah.
He's not like the Starks where like, I'm going to go do the right thing no matter what. He's like, I'll do the right thing as long as I'm not going to get my head cut off
Yeah.
in the process.
Well, he's already
Lost the fingers.
Yeah,
That is true.
he's had consequences. Just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be interesting though to see the showdown between Melisandre and Davos because at the moment
She's not going to tell him.
she looks broken and said nothing.
Yeah.
She's not going to
The
say
only
a
people
word.
that information can leave from now are the sellswords that
yeah.
ditch town.
And
Could play
and
mom.
Davos has a really good sellsword friend.
That's true.
The black dude.
Yeah, but he wasn't
who, like,
around for
hangs
that.
out.
The
no,
pirate?
No.
but they talk.
Yeah.
At some point, I mean, it's words are wind. They're gonna get out there and people will find out.
Ryan Christ has said very interested to see what happens with Melisandre and Davos. He finds out he's gonna scorched earth on that broad.
Yep.
I mean, we were kind of fantasizing last week about who do we want to see kill another person,
Yeah.
and one of them was, want to see Brienne kill Stannis.
Yep.
And then the way they did it, you're kind of like, oh, okay.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way with Joffrey's death. That was not as satisfying.
But he was
Yeah,
just
I
like,
wanted-
bright
I-
little shit at
I
that
wanted
wedding.
Joffrey to be
Yeah,
clawing
this
his
president
throat,
I
and he
hate.
wasn't.
And at the time, I thought it was fascinating that they took those feelings that we wanted towards seeing Joffrey die and kind of reversed them on us and had to see like, oh, that was kind of lame. But then they started doubling down on the violence and everything. And it's one of those like, well, if you're not going to give me any satisfying payoffs to these evil people,
I think there's a
then
reason why
maybe
you're
you
not
wanna-
getting it.
Maybe you want to like lay off some of the awful shit they're doing.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, like-
I think it's happening for a reason.
Tone
I
it
think
down
that
a little.
if Stannis was supposed to be 100% dead, you would see him 100% die.
Yeah.
I was waiting
Yeah,
for
I'm
a
not going to
head
be surprised
to roll.
if he's like in the
Yeah.
next season we see Brienne with a horse and Stannis is like tied up on the back of it and he's like, okay, let's go get Sansa and Theon somehow. I don't know. I'm like, everything's new. I have no idea. I'm sorry. I'm going to be really excited about that. I could like freely talk about things and
Yeah.
guess.
Let it out,
Oh,
I say.
it's going to be so much fun.
So back at Winterfell, we do know that Sansa has taken the, I call it the corkscrew, and it came in
looked like a
handy
corkscrew, yeah.
because she let herself out. She was able to unlock the door that she was locked in. So she, found that this is the most useful item ever. So what does she do when she exits the room? She drops it.
Yeah, right. I do like
Yeah.
that her use of it wasn't violent. It was more clever. I thought that was cool.
She hasn't crossed over there. She was so pure. Remember her in King's Landing when she was like, "Oh, I find King Joffrey to my liking. Oh, he's so lovely,"
Yeah.
and she's covered in bruises.
Yeah.
And now she's just like, you know what? I'm not gonna behead someone or bened someone just yet, but
Yeah.
I am going to.
Try to get away.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight for my life.
Yeah.
I had a going bet with somebody with Luke in the office about whether Sansa was going to be able to orchestrate her own escape. And lighting the candle did not count in this because we were like, that's still signaling to Brienne to do the rescue.
Be rescued.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I won the bet. I got my cup of coffee this
Well, no,
morning.
didn't Reek orchestrate her escape?
Yeah, here's my whole quip about it. Like, I did like that Theon killed Miranda. I was like, okay, good. You have your little moment of redemption. Fine. But for me, in order to make it so that like Sansa's also an active participant, that she's not just a damsel anymore, was when they were running away and they were looking for a way to get out. If Sansa had looked over first and made the decision of like, I'm gonna look down instead of Theon doing
Right.
it. I'll just switch one little thing, and then it would have been like, oh, she's the one saying, let's do this.
Yeah.
Instead, it was still Theon going, Madame, let's go.
But you know
And
why
then-
that had to happen, don't you? Theon needed redemption.
Yeah,
It
but I
needed to
felt
go
like
from... Yeah.
I didn't need
He
Theon
was
to have
weak
redemption.
this whole time. He was so pathetic. He betrayed Sansa at that particular
I felt
stage.
the redemption could have just been him getting rid of Miranda. Like it would have
Yeah.
been, it would have been a balance. It would have been like he did her
You
something
did
for
good,
her,
kid, finally.
and now
Yeah.
she's just like, you know what, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't need Reek redemption. I was still rooting for Sansa to like throw Reek under the bus.
I
and
don't
get
think...
away
I
with
think
some
Reek's
heinous
dead,
shit.
guys.
Yeah.
I think he's Theon again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
Maybe.
think he's Theon again too, and I assume they're gonna survive the fall because that's a weird ending.
Yeah, 'cause
if
it's
they
dumb.
Can we
survive the fall.
Call, can we call Theon Theo because he's lost the N? The N stands for his nads. So he's just Theo
Nice.
from now on.
I was wondering going with that.
There it is.
Yeah. Nads. Nads, everybody. You're welcome.
But I was glad to see. I mean, I wasn't surprised that Miranda decided to point blank put an arrow, like the bow and arrow against her and
Yeah.
like threaten her because with Ramsay out, I mean, she should have felt a little bit worried about her man out on
Yeah.
the battlefield. She wasn't.
No,
She was like,
she
all
really
right,
confident in him though.
I'm
Yeah.
ruling the
does.
roost now. Sansa, I hate you. Probably going to shoot you and take
Oh,
off
man,
some.
what a satisfying crunch that
What
at
is-
the end of that fall. It was just like, ooh,
What
okay.
does Miranda get out of her relationship with Ramses, you think? Because he doesn't seem...
They're both
doesn't seem-
sadistic and masochistic for each other.
Okay.
She was
That's fair.
just a messed up lady.
She was one of those characters where it was like, you know what, if you could die, that'd be great. And then when it happened, you're like, oh, this is the finale. We're ticking boxes here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Theon and Sansa, TBC. Hopefully they'll run into Brienne. Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
that's my hope for it because this is the one thing that's still really different book wise. Like Stannis isn't dead in the books at this point.
And then maybe
Maybe
Stannis...
he's not dead at all.
Maybe Stannis and Theon can have a chat about who's
and
worse.
he still has a camp that's nearby, so there's a place for them to kind of escape to.
Mm-hmm,
But now there's nowhere for them to escape to in the nearby vicinity if they are alive.
Yeah, it's not a very well thought out escape strategy. I don't
Yeah,
think.
it's
Hey.
just like shit's going down. It's
better than what's
like,
gonna be happening
It's
there.
better to die
that's
here
true.
and
Yeah.
maybe get away, or which I at this point I'm like, yeah, take it. I would not want to stay anywhere near Ramsay
No.
at all. Just
So the last thing that I want to touch on before we leave the Battle of Winterfell was, did everyone have the same reaction where you saw that sweeping shot of all the dead bodies in the snow and be like, probably the worst thing to happen before the White Walkers come? Because that is free reign.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
true.
an army that you can resurrect
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Why would you
Because
want to
nobody
kill
knows,
people?
nobody knows or cares.
do people clean up after battles? Is that a
No.
thing in war?
They
Like, does
leave
somebody
'em.
go around and just go like,
Yeah. You get the bodies up. You set them aside. You
That's
probably
gotta
burn them, throw them in a
smell.
mass grave. I mean, there are very few jobs
There's
back in
corpse
the Middle
looters.
Ages that aren't shitty.
yeah.
You know, there are corpse looters.
Say that 10 times fast.
Me in video games. Every dead body.
Corpse
What do you
looter.
have?
Especially in Witcher at the moment. Oh my God,
Really?
I can't
Just
stop
picking
it.
up so many things.
Yeah.
You never know what cool items they have. You always got to check.
Gotta check.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about Fallout 4. A lot of hours spent going through crates and dead bodies and
Wow, a bunch of gamers happening here.
No.
So, the wall. Let's go there because Snow's come back and he's telling Sam about what happened. He told, he just lifted up his arms and then all the dead rose with him.
yeah. Did he only? He
And
couldn't
Sam was
have just
like, cool
told
story,
Sam,
bro.
right?
I got laid.
Yeah.
Had this knowing, smug look. And you know what? I'm actually so relieved that John asked what we were all thinking. Dude, how'd you bone a chick when you were completely beaten up?
No.
And he was like,
Carefully.
Very carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, Sam and John, like, I love their relationship. They're great, and I wish John didn't send him away.
No. So the
Sam asked to leave.
Yeah.
to
Yeah, he
become
does,
a Meister.
That's gonna be badass.
So are the at this point the oaths that they take on the wall are complete shit, right?
Pretty
Like
much.
nobody really takes them seriously.
Well,
John does, sort
Sort of.
John, it's like John was kind of put in a catch-22. Like
Uh-huh.
his commander told him become a wildling essentially, and in order to become it's like
Uh-huh.
you have to
All
be a
right.
double agent. So
I'm
it's
just
like,
saying.
eh.
I'm just saying.
Do you think that Sam got a taste and now he wants to just chase the puss?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
He wants to get married. He wants to settle down. That's a settle down boy.
Yeah, you're right. He's
Yeah.
a righteous man,
But
and
he's-
he's cheapened it all.
I
Yeah.
do,
He's
I
my
do think
smut.
if Sam like does become an awesome maester, which in
What-
Old Town they study everything. Like you have like every chain, the maester chain is like a different kind of specialty.
That's like your degree.
And one of the chains is an obsidian like link
Right.
And that means you kind of try to learn medical magic, kind of like the most, like whatever, most of the knowledge is lost. But whatever pieces they do have, you try to learn it. And I guarantee you, Sam is going to look up every single book on obsidian and any type of like magic that could get rid of White Walkers, which I hope he learns it all and he comes back and it's just like, I'm pretty much a wizard now. And like,
that would be great.
Thing.
Because, Sam said, well, what about all that dragon glass? And John's like, it's gone. That's done. Like, we blew it.
I'm rooting for Wizard Sam. I think that would be fantastic.
And
Someone's
also,
tweeted something that they're rooting for as well, and I'm kind of on their page with dragons and warg and stuff like
read
that.
it. What's the tweet?
Oh, it kind of spoils everything, but alrighty, we'll get there. I think it's Sam Nezuel has just said, with all the magic, nothing is impossible. I want a revived John, a flying brand dragon, and at least one ice dragon. And to that I say, hell yes.
Yes, all of it.
Tick, tick, tick. I do think it's interesting. I mean, don't talk about the books, but in the books, it was John that actually suggested that Sam go, and Eamon hadn't died at this stage. So they all kind of left together.
They were wanting to take Eamon to like
Old Town. The citadel.
Because Melisandre was still up there. And I mean, if you're going to read the books and you don't want any of this stuff, I'm about to say a book plot point, so heads up. Melisandre stayed at the wall because she figured out that Aemon was a Targaryen and he had royal blood. Mind you, he was sick and he's dying. She's just like, you know what? We need royal blood to burn.
He's dying.
Why not? And of course, John is like, no. And Sam is like, no. So they were like, let's get Aemon out of here along with the baby.
That's another
because
story.
The baby, there was like 2 babies or something. And there was a baby that possibly had royal blood too.
They didn't go over that.
And they were like, let's get all the old and babies out of here because this lady wants to burn everything that's innocent.
She's crazy.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish that, they made Sam suggest it, going, hey, I want to take the girl and I want to take the baby and I want to get out of here and I want to be a maester. I kind of wish that it was John who sent him away because I think that would have made what happens later way more impacting.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he sent away his only friend and ally. And previously...
Not that Sam would have been able to help him that much in this situation.
Where was Ghost?
Yeah, we'll get to it in a minute. We need to save that for the end.
You'll save Sam, but you won't save... Anyway. So, yes, with them gone, and Alistair has previously said when John was away, remember said to Sam, going, all your friends are leaving. Threat.
Yeah.
So,
like,
Alistair...
heads up, change some shit around.
So, did John have a sit down with the rest of the Night's Watch that didn't go and be like, hey, guys, by the way...
We didn't see it.
Some crazy-ass shit went up in the north.
I think all of these guys, the only thing that they can see is that there's wildlings there and they have to accept them.
Yeah.
And they can't get their minds past that because they've spent their whole time on the watch fighting them.
Yeah.
And this is where little Ollie comes in.
Yeah.
Ollie.
Right, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We've got a whole boring plot and Dorne to talk about before we get to the more interesting
Jamie.
stuff.
Okay. Let's go to Dawn.
Jamie had a first-time father moment.
Good for him. Was the plot in Dorne completely useless?
Yes.
It was so underwhelming. Remember how the lead up into season 5 was, we're going to take you to Dorne. It's going to be awesome. The sand snakes.
No.
And I was like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, bad choreography. Now we're in prison. Now we're done. And it's like...
Yeah, they neutered the sand snakes completely, which is a shame because they could have been so amazing.
Yeah.
And I still had hopes until this last episode. Like, I had a running theory of like, all right, Prince Doran is sending Tristan on the ship, and I had this thing of like, okay, Tristan's going to go to King's Landing and poison Tommen in order for Marcella to become queen, and Tristan would be a Dornish king.
Yeah.
I was like, that's going to be it. How amazing would that? Like, obvious, right? No.
But what was the one thing that Prince Doran made sure was happening before Tristan left? He's got a place on the small council.
Right. Yeah. Which is why I was like, this is...
If he makes it.
It's all about it.
For the rest of the boat trip.
Isn't the boat just going to turn around?
Yeah, it really wasn't that far. Like, she's dying of poison. You're like a 5-minute sail.
Yeah,
and you're back at the dock.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what I would do. Jamie, we're flipping around. I'm running out to see if I can cure her. Throw her in prison. She poisoned my girl. Like,
and everybody would be on board. Tristan just lost his girl.
Yeah.
Like
you didn't
nobody.
See him. It would have been cool if he kind of was like, "What's going on?" No.
But it's, daddy-daughter moment.
Yeah, that was
Daddy-uncle-daughter moment.
Probably the weirdest daddy-daughter moment I think I've seen on TV.
I know. I really wanted I am your father. No, that's
you know what?
impossible.
That's not true. The weirdest daddy-daughter moment I've seen on TV is I've been rewatching Twin Peaks, and the season 2 premiere has a much weirder daddy-daughter moment.
Okay.
Anyway.
I did notice that the what's her name, Ilaria, her lingering kiss.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself watching Game of Thrones and you're like, oh, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
I was like, is she gonna slide some tongue in here? What is her deal? Because she was just really pissed off before
And I don't
for
know
kneeling.
why we let that slide, considering everybody there knew that she wanted to kill her. Like nobody was like,
That was the kiss to death.
Yeah.
Why was she even there? Like I would just be like, you don't
kill
get
her.
to be anywhere near her. I trust you
But
now.
she knelt down and kissed Doran's ring, so that was enough, apparently.
no. She
I
needs
know.
to be dead. She needs to be dead, especially since all of this comes from the Red Viper choosing to be part of a tournament to the death.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oberyn chose. That was he decided that's what he wanted to do. He decided to have a little chit chat with the mountain before he finished them. It didn't go well. Mm-hmm. We all need to let it go.
Deal with it.
And I think Luke had said this. Oberyn's whole point is just like, you don't hurt kids. You don't hurt little girls in Dorne. Like he was really proud of that. Like, hey, we don't mess with kids. That's not nice.
What do you guys think would have made the plot line more interesting?
Bringing back the original thing that the Sand Snakes wanted to do, which again, sorry, book people.
I mean, it's happened.
The original storyline was that the Sand Snakes didn't want to kill Marcella. In Dorne, women, the birthright is the birthright order. It does not matter if you're male or female. So it's whatever order you're born in,
It's
you
not
get
specific.
stuff.
Yeah.
So they wanted to keep Marcella there and have her claim her right to the Iron Throne because she was born before Tommen. Mm-hmm. So what they wanted to do was essentially start a huge rebellion, Dorne versus the Iron Throne, with Marcella as queen.
Yep.
Like
So pit brother against sister.
Yeah, they wanted to start that fight, while Doran was just like, no, I have my own side thing going on, which we don't know if, I'm not going to say because I don't know, actually. No. But Doran put a stop to it because no, I have this side thing going on. Please don't do this. And he tells the character who they don't have in the show, like his plan. And she goes, oh, if I had known. All right. And that's kind of where their storyline goes.
What I think I'm hearing is that there's no way to make the Dorne plotline interesting on TV.
I wish there was more Sand Snakes having instead of being behind bars the whole time, they were sneaking around, doing their own little missions. The Tristane thing, I thought it was kind of funny, breaking Bron's nose. That was a little bit, entertaining for me.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen their relationship kind of progress a little bit further.
Yeah.
I kind of think the whole Jamie thing was a little bit underwhelming as well.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when she was like, I know that, you're my father and I'm okay with it, I didn't feel much at all.
No.
But I was kind of like, this is all happening. This is a beautiful moment. And then you go to King's Landing and you're seeing Cersei being stripped and shamed.
Yeah.
Which
and
was
a
super powerful scene.
And I was
again,
kinda like,
another situation, somebody I really don't like. It's like,
It's because she was punished for completely the wrong thing, which is the point. The point of that scene is to show look how sexist and what's the word?
misogynistic.
Yes. The society is, because they're shaming her for sleeping out of her marriage by making her walk naked. Not all the other horrible shit she's ever done.
Well, the thing is, that was the
it's-
only thing that she would confess to. And I think Cersei's very smart. She realized she was never getting out of the dungeon there. And they were like, confess every day, confess. And she's like, well, the only evidence that they have against me is what Lancel has said. So that is the only thing that I will confess to. I will never, ever put Jamie at risk, because if I confess about Jamie, then Tommen loses the throne. So she was never going to give that up, because if Tommen didn't have the throne, then she had no power.
Right.
Yeah.
And they would all be probably killed. So she was like, all right, I want to get out of here. Just get me out. The show's called Mother's Mercy. So she's like, I want to see my son. I will admit to this one thing. And it's funny because she thought she had a plan and it was going in motion. She's like, can I see him now? Let me out. And he was like, yeah, sure. After your trial and after your atonement. And she's like, what?
No.
Yeah.
How dumb is that guy? Like, oh, sure, you can go back to the Red Keep after your atonement. Why? She's gonna kill you. That's so
she
stupid.
is going
Oh,
to
she's.
kill
I hope
you.
so. I hope she's not broken, because by the end of that
She didn't
walk,
look
you're
broken.
like,
She didn't look that broken.
At the
She's
first
in
half of
she's in Frankenstein's monster's arms, and she seems
Frankenmountain.
Frankenmountain's arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the first half of that walk, and this is really brutal. They cut her hair and they stripped her down.
And there was blood. They did not do a good job. It was not a good
They
haircut.
cut her, and they are making her feel absolutely worthless.
I appreciate. It's one of those things where the show, the show showed nudity, and it wasn't gratuitous in the way that they normally go in. It was very much a thing of like she's exposed. You feel for her.
It's war.
Yeah, and it's intense, and it's just like, yeah, good job. Did you guys know how they shot that scene?
No.
Yeah,
please
it kind
tell
of
me.
bummed me out when I
a
found
face
out about
double?
it.
She-
Yeah,
she, like, face swap?
She was
yeah.
pregnant at the time when they were shooting this, so clearly they couldn't do the whole thing. So it is a body double.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed initially her hair was over her face when she was getting it cut and stripped down the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's obvious. But then when she had no hair to hide behind,
Yeah.
and it's like, hello, full frontal.
Yeah, props to them for, because I didn't know until after, and I was reading stuff
Yeah.
that there was a body double. So props to them for covering up. But I was bummed because the whole time I was like, good job for Lena Headey for being this bold. And then it was like, it's body double.
I think she would have done it, but she
I'm-
was,
yeah,
she was
Still,
pregnant.
good work to the body double that had to be completely naked,
Yeah.
walking through about 300 extras that
Yeah.
were calling her C-bombs and whore and all these horrible
Lot of
things
bad stuff.
whilst getting shit thrown at them.
Yeah.
Like, a round of applause for whoever had to do that. Good on you.
I hope you got
They
paid
also,
well.
I think they were almost everything there was shot in Croatia except that scene because the Croatian
The government were like, we
government
don't
was
want to
like,
have that.
yeah, no, we're not going to have you have a naked lady walking down our streets. Just no. So they had to
Interesting.
like find another place to go shoot it.
That first half, though, when she was doing the walk, you could just see her building up her own death list. She's
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to
It's
kill
the
you.
it's the I am a lioness,
Yeah.
moment.
it's
But
like when that
by
little turd landed on her shoulder, and
Yeah.
then she was getting more and more just smeared in crap.
Yeah.
And it was like getting to the brutal part, like flea bottom-esque area where,
Yeah.
like, you know, got to the
people just flashing you
lower.
and just like the whole.
Can we just say, all right, have we got a fully naked woman? Check. Let's make her erratic. All right, now, you know what? Needs a little bit of D. Let's get
Yeah.
a naked guy in
That's the
there.
only- throw in
That's the
there.
only time the show shows that
Oh,
is like,
man.
hi. And
But
it's just like, really? This is when you do it?
I love watching Game of Thrones going, I want me some old man flaccid dick today.
Yeah.
Yay, you did it.
Those two guards that were leading her too were not messing around though.
No.
Like, whoosh,
I was,
get out of the way.
I was actually
mean,
really more nervous. In my head, I'm like, that whole crowd could just pounce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
those
thought
guards couldn't do anything.
Four
Like-
wasn't enough to
Yeah, I would-
protect.
If,
Did you just hear me? I wanted them to protect Cersei.
yeah.
Ah.
It was very weird.
I like.
Don't worry,
my-
we're gonna go
my
back to hating
fear
her next
for her
season.
in that moment too was very high up because I'm just imagining. I'm like, I wouldn't feel safe with four dudes just walking by. Like, no. So the fact that her character was able to still stay upright. I mean, she
Yeah.
fell at some point, but
Oh, that's when she broke.
Yeah.
but she got back up and she kept going, and I'm like,
Driven by
whoa, you
vengeance.
are strong as fuck.
This
Like,
whole episode is driven by vengeance. Brienne left her post because
No.
of vengeance. I think she kept walking and confessed because, you know, now she's all she can think of is the people that she's going to kill because she is holding on to whatever strand of power she can have left.
Yeah.
And it's Qyburn. Qyburn is the only person that will stand by Cersei's side.
because she's just like, oh, you need more experimental bodies. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's you. Go here, have fun.
Yeah.
He lost his maester rings because he was experimenting on nearly dead people.
Yeah.
Not quite dead people.
dead.
And that
Almost there.
brings us to Franken Mountain. We
Yeah.
saw him jolt under the sheet at one stage. So it's like, that's right, there's a plot line happening there. And now he is Robert Strong, forever known as Franken Mountain,
Yeah.
who will not take off his helm because he's always ever ready for battle.
And he
Yeah,
has a
well, that's-
vow of silence.
And it's not because he can't speak or he won't take off his helmet because he looks like a nightmare under there.
That is
For
a
reasons.
deep, dark, bluey purple color happening under that
Oh my
visor.
God.
Yeah. So at this
But
point, I don't know if he counts as the mountain was the foundation upon which this thing was built. I don't think he technically counts as the mountain anymore.
I mean,
at this
but it's
point.
nice to know that people don't necessarily die. Just saying.
This
you
is
know.
this is
Again.
why death is never really dead.
I think this was the best scene in the whole episode.
How he just picks her up and she kind of
not
smirks.
her walk.
Right.
Yeah,
whole
her walk was
because
really
I think
powerful.
it was
Powerful, sure,
it was
yeah.
powerful on its own. It wasn't designed just for shock and awe, and it wasn't cliffhanger bait.
It was the destruction and the belittling of a character that felt herself to be indestructible.
no.
You know,
No.
she was hiding
And-
behind Jamie. She was hiding behind Tywin.
And this is when I do appreciate the show and the books when they do make you feel sympathy for your villains.
Yeah.
Because I'm always mad when it happens. Like, I never wanted to like Jamie, and then Jamie became one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I don't think Cersei will ever become one of my favorites, but to understand where she's coming from, why she does what she does, you know, I might not like it, but I can get it,
Yeah.
and it's nice to get the characters.
I think it's when the characters that we hate are because they feel indestructible, and it's only when they then have nothing that they have a change within themselves.
Yeah.
Jamie, he was, arrogant. He, bloody pushed a little boy out the window for hell's sake. But he then got kidnapped, and he was someone's slave, and then he got his hand removed, which is the only thing that he really stood for. That was his sword fighting hand. And then he was like, I have to reassess everything that I stand
Yeah, it's like, who am I now?
That's it. And that's what's happening with Cersei.
Jamie learned empathy for Brienne, and that has started extending towards pretty much everybody around him. I don't think Jamie from season 1 or 2 could have had this scene with Marcella ever.
Oh, no. No, not at all.
Stannis has this empathy jogged when he realized that he went too far. And because none of these things were worth it. And he probably questions in himself, if I had succeeded, would it have been worth it? Cersei, I think what will maintain Cersei as a villain is I think once Franken Mountain picks her up, that whatever empathy, it wasn't empathy, she was being torn down.
Pity. It was pity.
But she's going to pull herself back up.
She's going to be so protective of Tommen. Because Tom, that prophecy.
I think she's going to kick Tom in the ass and be like, you need to start doing.
I have no idea. Because with her prophecy is that, you're going to outlive your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel like she's just going to become like supreme mother lioness, like even way more so than she was before with Tommen, because especially after she finds out from Jamie that Marcella's gone.
Oh yeah, there's only one left, and then there were one.
Nope.
The three things that we have to kind of get to, so we'll kind of press through it because we are talking a lot, but it is the finale. We haven't gone to Bravos, and Bravos. Holy hell, is Arya going from caterpillar to butterfly?
Yeah. I'm sorry, that was kind of great. She's terrifying.
I had a list of things that I wanted to see, and Arya becoming, changing faces was definitely one of them. And this is probably the best and most brutal way that it could happen, because we know who her target is, but how was it going to happen? Well, turns out she became a little girl and decided to get his attention by feeling no pain. Again, they're like, how can we make everyone hate Meryn?
Yeah.
Like completely and thoroughly.
Yeah.
And it's like, he wants young girls. That's horrible. Oh no, he wants to beat young girls.
Yeah.
And plural. He wants to line multiple girls up and break them physically, which is horrendous.
Yeah.
And so and he obviously feeds on their pain, because when he whips Arya, or this young girl, we don't know it's Arya yet, and she doesn't scream.
Yeah.
Oh, as soon as that first hit,
I was like,
she didn't.
boom.
I was just like, oh shit,
She's done
here
it.
it goes.
She's done it, guys. That's a different face. That's a
Mission
different
accomplished.
face. I'm so excited.
And then she murders the fuck out of Meryn Trant.
She stabs one eye.
Yeah.
She stabs the other eye. He's completely blind, and then she gags him, and then she repeatedly stabs him to make a point. I was waiting for Arya to be like, who am I? Say my name, bitch. Because that's what it was.
Much did.
Yeah.
It's interesting because then that's when you remember that Arya is the scariest person out of Westeros.
Oh yeah.
And then I know they're not technically in Westeros, right? But the
No,
House
they're
of
in
Black and
Essos.
White is scarier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't. I kind of like their system though. That's like we don't kill randomly.
Yeah.
No, we
You
have.
know what I mean? There's
a target.
rules.
I still kind of like to know a little bit more of their rules.
Because
Because
the
why
only
is
time
the
we've-
insurance dude okay, but not the pedophile? Like, why wouldn't?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the only time we've ever seen about this, he said only death will pay for life. But the last time, the first time we ever saw Jaqen was when that he was kind of in a cage, trapped with two other violent, horrible, murderous men. And, a fire had broken out, and I was like, do I rescue these guys or do I let them die? And she rescued them, and he goes, all right, well, you saved 3 lives who were supposed to die, therefore I can take 3 lives.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess, life paying for death.
Yeah.
But then in this case, it's death paying for death. So it's like, how does that work? 2 negatives don't make a positive, really,
Yeah.
in this stage. But how weird was that? Like, I kind of called it that when they got Arya and they had the potion of death there,
Yeah.
it's like, you're not going to kill Arya. Are you kidding me? Sure, she effed
Yeah.
up a little bit,
Yeah.
but no. And then when he drunk it, I was like, called it.
No.
I
Changed?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like the Dread Pirate Roberts in The Princess Bride. It's
Yeah.
like you just don on the mask and you become the person.
Yeah.
I was so hoping just for like a giveaway to the audience it'd be like what's his name? Her
Syrio.
teacher, Syrio. I was hoping one of the faces would be Syrio because it would just be like, yeah, but no.
They
Nope,
did do
nope.
the previously on Game of Thrones, and they brought up Syrio.
Yeah,
Because that's who
why I was-
Meryn Trant
that's
killed.
why I was so-
That's why she was on
right. I
Arya's
got
shit
my
list.
hopes up.
It would have
Yeah.
been interesting in the sense of emphasizing the fact that her killing Meryn Trant was meaningless. Because if if Serial was one of the faces, then it's another nobody. That's not what should matter to you here.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that Jaqen is essentially a ghost.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the guy that she's been hanging out with in the House of Black and White might not be the guy that she saved.
Oh yeah, she could be
from whatever.
hanging out with like 10 different people,
which
every
makes
time.
her more alone now
Yeah.
than she's ever been. She's always had her little traveling buddies.
She's not bonding with a person anymore because they're faceless.
Yeah.
Why did she become blind, though? That's the punishment?
That's the punishment.
But is she forever blind now?
I'm
My tummy just made the loudest growl.
I doubt it.
No.
That I'm pretty sure it's going to be like more lessons on, how to
The
like.
girl does not have eyes. The girl does not have a nose. The girl is faceless.
Is this all building
Can't
up
see.
to her ditching Needle and having that actually be a triumphant moment instead of a bummer?
She will always be Arya Stark.
But that's the thing, because before when she kept the sword, I'm like, yeah, you keep the sword. But it's like, with the way it's going, it could build to a point where she ditches the sword, and I feel proud of her for finally like letting go of that.
I feel like Arya's character, her whole deal is that she always, no matter who gives her rules, it doesn't matter who's giving her the rules, she's going to break the rules, and she's going to get away with it. She might suffer consequences for breaking rules, but she will never 100% follow
She
rules.
walks
It's
her own
just
path.
never been her thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like no matter what they give her to do, she's going to, if she'll follow it, but she'll bend. She'll figure out a way to do it her way. And I'm pretty sure the same thing's it's going to keep going.
Okay, in the next season. Now we go to Marine. Basically, what's happened since we last saw these boys is that Dany got on her dragon and flew away, and they don't know where she is. And so, of course, my favorite moment is when Tyrion is talking to both Jorah and Dario and simply says, "You're in love with her, aren't you?" And they both look around and they're like,
No.
"Oh,
No.
yeah." I'm like, "Oh, pussy whooped."
No.
But the other thing that I liked about this scene was Dario completely calling out that Tyrion is only good for his words.
Yeah.
Because he's like, all right,
He's so
we
But
good
did
at it.
he's real good with his words, though. He's gotten out of many a jam with those
His
words.
words are just as
But
powerful as swords.
He's also good at drinking.
really good at drinking.
He's really good at
he
drinking.
He admits that. He'll be the
Yeah.
first to.
I did like the little moment of like, oh, the leader of the Grey Worm needs to stay here because the Unsullied are the only thing keeping together.
Yeah.
Really? Because it looks like the only thing they're good at is dying.
But it's also the whole, like, it's a point about how you can't have just outsiders come in and take over a
That's why the
foreign
Sons of the Happy
country
were there.
No.
and be
What
like,
do you think
hi,
that-
follow our rules now.
What do you think that's a metaphor for? You think if you had to, if you had to guess? What do you think that's
every war the U.S. has been in the Middle East, probably.
what do you think that's a metaphor for?
But so you have to have your own people rise up
And traditional customs and,
Yeah.
kind of keep it true to what
And-
they are used to.
and to have Grey Worm and Missandei kind of being like the face of it is
Together. I
is
was
like
just like, hey, guys,
A+, man.
kiss. Just kiss. You know you want to. You're in love with each other. Do it.
It wouldn't have been an appropriate moment
Give
for
him
that.
a rub. Rub his nub.
Oh, he doesn't have a nub.
Oh, he's only got a
No,
nub.
that's all it is.
Sorry.
Oh.
Hashtag rub. All right. But what was really cool is that the fact that the thing that Jorah and Dario have in common, their love for Dany, is the thing that's actually making them friends and on the same team.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, they should hate each other by all rights because
I
before.
think they did before.
No, it was Dario having a little bit of grief with Grey Worm, who can rule with Dany the best. So I think that Dario having Jorah's back is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And knowing that Tyrion can't track beasts or fight very well or do any of those things outside of the castle, that, they've kind of had this divide now. So it'll be interesting to see how Marine will take this next step. Insert the biggest smile on my face this whole episode, Varys.
Yeah. And I love the implication that he's just been hanging out there waiting for the right time to like, boop.
This guy's
Because
awesome.
he's a master of timing. He's like, well, it's not. If I show up now, murder might
Because
happen.
he doesn't want to die. He's not going to just show up and be like, you know what? There's dragons. I'll wait.
Everything
It's
that he was
fine.
saying, and he's like, hey, I've still got little spiders whispering to me now. I still know everything that's happening, But I know you left, but hey, I made it myself. I love it. Love that Varys is there. I love that he's teaming back up with Tyrion. They're my
The
favorites.
smirk on like both their faces of like,
love
oh,
it.
how can we possibly deal with all the horribleness of Marine?
Yeah. They are the best couple in the show.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see because Tyrion. It was so interesting having Tyrion basically run King's Landing, and so it'll be interesting. As much as it feels like stalling, because good lord, it feels like stalling. It'll be interesting to see him run Marine with Varys while Dany's chilling with the Dothraki.
Yeah, what's
again.
going on there? So she flew away. Drogon's kind of like, oh, I've got to sort of punctured wounds in my back. I just
a little bit of a bitch.
I just want to chill out. He's a teenager.
He's a giant flying cat.
Yeah. And she's like, all right, we need to go. And he's like, nah. She's like, I am so reliant on this giant beast.
No.
Oh, dear. So she goes a little bit exploring. Did anyone else look around in that grassy knoll hillside and think, isn't this where we last saw the hound? How far did Drogo fly?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
They're still in Essos.
How great would that be if he was just sitting there still dying?
Yeah, please,
my
anyone,
God.
please help me.
Hey.
But the fact that hundreds, if not nearly 1,000 horsemen can sneak ambush Dany, well done, Dothraki. That was pretty impressive.
That's
a thundering noise of horses that snuck up.
Last time we checked on them, they were not too down with Dany, right?
Nope.
No.
They wanted to kill her.
No, they were like, well, you were Khal Drogo's wife. You need to go with all the elderly women have a place where they go in the Dothraki world.
Yeah.
And they were like, you're gonna go there. We're gonna take the rest of the whole horde. And
well, with Khal Drogo dead, there needs to be a new Khal. And if there's a new Khal, then Dany has absolutely no place with the Dothraki, and therefore, they want to kill her. It's like, you're no good to us now.
My hopefully what I want to happen is I want Dany to get back up on her dragon and be like, hey, you know how you guys follow whoever's riding the most biggest, baddest, awesome stallion?
The alpha beast.
Look what I can ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully she could kind of win them back.
Khal Drogo managed to convince these guys to cross the Narrow Sea one time. Can she do it again?
Yeah.
Maybe. I feel like that's what that's building towards. So she has, basically by the time this whole series is done, she'll have united literally the entire kingdoms.
You've been making that noise a lot this whole finale breakdown.
Stalling. I'm sorry. It just feels like, when she's got the Unsullied and she's got this great army, you're like, right now we could just march into King's Landing and take over. But do you know how to lead? You should learn how to lead. You know who doesn't want to see that and doesn't care about that at all? Your audience. Nobody cares.
Right.
Get on with it. Come on. Now she's lost again, and they have to go find her. And
2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
I will say
Seriously?
those storylines in the books also did lag.
I do not think George R. R. Martin ever wants to finish writing these books. I think it was supposed to be 1 book, then it became 3 books. Now it's 7 books with talk of maybe an 8th. Like
There's talk of an 8th?
There's talk of an 8th. He never wants to be done, and so I feel like with plot lines
Yeah,
like
it's a
Dorne,
cash cow now.
Yeah,
he's just like cha-ching.
When you look at plot lines like Dorne and what's been going on with Dany, and I said it last year when we were reviewing the show too, it's like Dany is a very interesting character trapped in a just deadly boring plot line. And there was moments, the battle in the stadium was fantastic. It was great. It was interesting. It feels like it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere.
Okay.
To me.
Well,
to me.
Season 6 will be very interesting with it then.
No.
I'm excited to know.
Takes us to the final scene of the finale at the Wall. And this is the biggest didn't see that coming moment of the season, because I did not see that coming at all.
You didn't?
No way! I'm not up to there in the books yet.
I thought you were up
I just turned into Will all of a sudden. And the fact that like previously on Game of Thrones, and you saw Benjen Starr, who we haven't seen since season 1. I was like, he's coming back. This is awesome.
I was stoked with the mention of him again, because I was just like, are you gonna show us where he is? Because the show's doing its own thing now, and I had hope. I'm like, maybe they'll show him. That'd be so cool.
Well,
it was all a ploy.
Whole thing explains why Alistair was so calm, and just seeing Jon rule, making all these decisions, and he would kind of be like, I disagree with everything that you're doing. He's like, well, I wouldn't expect anything less. And you can just tell he's just like, in due time.
Yeah.
I'll just wait. I'll wait because you'll get yours, Jon Snow, and that's exactly what
happened. He
happened.
didn't have to do anything. His people were just already like, they're pissed off.
Don't you remember what Stannis said? 50% of your men hate you.
Yeah.
And so all Alistair had to do was just keep with those 50% and then wait for them to bugger off or do whatever. And the wildlings are in, so everything's in a little bit of disarray.
Yeah.
And then, that was the best kind of entrapment there. Traitor, boom. Even when I saw Traitor on the cross, I still didn't get what was happening. I was like, that's not right.
No.
What's happening? And then for the
my,
watch. I was like,
summer child.
no, what's happening?
No.
I Snapchatted my reaction, and I was just like, huh? And then it was like for the watch, and you could see it in Snow's eyes. He was like, you've betrayed me. I didn't think that you would do this.
Yeah.
Well, it was in a mix of, I think there was an interview with Kit afterward where, because they were immediately like, so what was going on? And he mentioned that that moment was where he realized he failed his brothers as well. Like seeing like, oh, I did not pay attention to you. I clearly fucked up.
Yeah.
You know.
I think he and Danny have learned a valuable lesson that if you have a contingent of people that are kind of making your life miserable, you should murder them pretty right off the bat, and then move on with it.
Well, he did. Remember? He
murdered the one guy. Clearly, there was a whole contingent. He should have just.
But he needs all the men they can get because there is the bigger picture that they just refuse to understand.
Yeah.
But little Ollie, can we just talk about that brat?
Yeah.
And Sam kind of put that in his head. Sometimes you just got to look at the bigger picture here, and you've got to sacrifice things.
Sam didn't know. That's
not his fault.
Ollie.
But he planted the seed.
Yeah, I've suspected Ollie for a few episodes now. He's been very suspicious.
Yes.
If let's say, and I know we're probably going to get into this a little bit, I do not believe John is dead. He shouldn't be dead because it is not. Storytelling wise, this is not a good way to execute it, in my opinion.
I feel there's sorry.
Yeah, if he is dead, I hope the only time we return to the wall is as the White Walkers are storming it. They've run out of food, and we see Alistair Thorne like eating what's left of Ollie because they've run out of all food, and he chokes on a bone and dies.
Oh,
that's it. Because there's no point. Like literally, everyone there should just eat it.
Guys, it was not a coincidence that Lady Melisandre just happens to ride on in through the gates of the wall and be like, oh, that was a bad thing.
And I think there's some storyteller opportunity in that because you have this child murderer that is now your life is responsible for.
Yes.
But I think that no matter what this ending, no matter which way they go, if he is dead or if they do resurrect him, it's a little disingenuous. And I think perhaps a more genuine ending would have actually been John defending himself and ending up being responsible for killing a quarter of what's left at the wall, including Ollie. Like, I think it would have been a more powerful ending with John killing Ollie and having that be his moment of failure. Like, I failed you guys so much that I ended up having to kill you all, and kind of like, screw this. Screw defending the wall and all this stuff, because clearly nobody cares about this.
I wouldn't want that type of ending because I admire that John, for the most part, is someone who stands by his oath. It's the most stark thing about him is that he keeps his oaths, minus Ygritte.
But if what's his face that he chopped off was
Janos? Was that Janos Slint?
Janos Slint. If he was betraying the brothers, these guys were definitely betraying the brothers and worthy of a little like
and I feel like him killing them and then running away, that would be breaking his oath about not staying at the watch.
Yeah.
Him
He had
dying,
Stannis dangle the golden carrot, going, I will give you lordship over Winterfell. I will give you everything you always wished you had as a boy, and realizing you could never do it was the only reason why you're at the wall right now.
Yeah. So if he is dead and Melisandre does her magic thing, and there's an alternate theory that he might warg into Ghost.
Which would be dumb.
Which I would not be okay with. That's horrible.
Yeah. And by the way, people are going around. I got a few tweets that, like, if you look at the very end, his eyes change color.
Like
they
a little
don't.
bit gold?
They
don't.
They don't. They stay the same the whole time. I went back and rewatched it. It doesn't
flame flickering.
No, it doesn't even change at all. There's nothing.
Do you know what that
in it.
is? That's hopefulness you're squashing.
But if he comes back, then he technically died. He's free from his oath, so he could leave the wall. He could go maybe look for Rickon. He could go south. He could go across the sea. He could go anywhere if he's out of his oath.
Where's Ghost?
I don't know.
Yeah, where's Ghost? Where's Davos? Where's his friend that I thought died at the Battle of the White Walkers but didn't? He was right beside him.
Oh, yeah.
Where are all the wildlings that he just saved? Where's that giant? Where's anybody?
Oh, my God. The giant's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Like they're all like, for the watch, and before anybody could do anything, a giant foot, like, boom.
Yeah, steps on them all.
Yeah, he was called, I think he was called out in the middle of the night. So I think anybody who was his buddies were probably sleeping.
No.
Ghost, I don't know where Ghost is.
Maybe out hunting.
You really let everyone down, buddy.
Yeah, way to protect Sam.
Yeah. Playing favorites now.
My wish and dream for the opening scene of next season is the same shot of John there with the blood doing the thing, and then we see Melisandre's feet.
She's probably
we see Ghost.
sex with him.
Well, he's dead.
God.
With his dead body.
No, okay, never mind.
Summoning the...
But hopefully also seeing Ghost's feet as well. Like, just to kind of lend support to both theories and just kind of...
Yeah, no, I think it wouldn't surprise me if the Night's Watch tries to pull some shit and right before, like, killing the wildlings or something, right before they're able to do anything, John shows up and it's like, what? Yeah. And then the second or third episode, we kind of find out what happened. But I think, again, I don't think he's dead, because typically when they have these big deaths, like the Red Wedding and Ned's death, they were the second to last episode. So you had a full episode confirming, like, no, guess what? I mean, he's
DJ,
dead.
this is called a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And we usually don't really get them in Game of Thrones. But
Yeah,
now
I don't think it's the stronger decision. My understanding is these little cliffhangers hew very closely to the books, and I think it would have been. I don't think George R. R. Martin will finish the book before the next season, and I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't, because I think they need to be able to do their own.
Okay.
I'll be
thing
okay
now.
with that. That's fine.
So what do we think is going to happen in season 6? We're going to get Bran and Hodor again?
Hopefully.
Maybe Rickon and Osha? Like, what's going on there? Obviously, we're going to see more of the White Walkers, which is, for me, kind of cool, because that was my favorite part of the season.
Yeah.
Seeing them in full effect was just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So we're going to get more of that. We're hopefully going to get more of Dany's dragons, the trio coming together.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you guys hope to see in season 6 really quickly?
I want to see what's going to happen to Sansa, because I want to know what's going to happen with her. I want to see Arya be a blind girl and figure out how to maneuver the world that way.
Where's Littlefinger? I just realised he should
Yeah.
have been in the castle when Cersei was getting picked up by the Franken Mountain.
Maybe he left already.
He's off planning. All those machinations take time.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing I need to see next season is I need, at some point, probably at the end of the season, I need Dany to finally make her way to Westeros.
Okay.
Like, it needs to happen. The creators have said that, like, no matter what, they're going to stick to 7 seasons. And
I feel that's a 7th
need-
season thing. And
I-
not
I-
No,
a
except
I-
it seems to be White Walker demolishing.
especially no matter if the Song of Ice and Fire is supposed to deal with Jon and Dany, whatever their dynamic is, I think we need at least a season of them developing a chemistry. Whatever, if it's familial, if it's romantic, whatever it is.
Please romantic.
I think it's going to be romantic too, and I'd like to see that. But I think that enough sawing. Enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's 2 tweets that I didn't get to read out, but they were kind of on point with what we were saying. Austin was saying he's at the Spicy Cracker. That's a great little Twitter handle there. Austin says, my biggest moment of the episode that had me excited was Varys back with Tyrion. Absolutely. And the last tweet to read out is from Dean Shari, at Dean Shari, who says, so many deaths, but a damn good one to see the Khaleesi, to see her people again. Possibly army march to the Narrow Sea. TBC on that one, that's for sure. Guys, keep the discussions happening at TV Show. I mean, this is it for Game of Thrones, but hopefully we'll be doing more TV recaps.
Oh, and FHP has updated the Honorable House Stark shirt to include current events. So if you would like to purchase that, that'd be great.
Plenty of wares there.
And maybe in the future, that shirt will also continue to get updated as it goes along.
Or you can always take a Sharpie and update it yourself. And also check out the Sansa Stark vlogs where.
Oh yeah, I was Daenerys.
Yeah.
Mortar of Dragons. See what I did there on this Mordcast where I'm moderating. Oh guys, that was you though. You'd said that before, so I'm not going to steal your thunder. That was all
it's
you.
okay.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. I don't know when I'll see you again on this show, but you've been great. I keep the comments nice. We'll see you later.
Bye.